Michael and Susan had been married for over 30 years. Michael was planning his retirement, dreaming of a peaceful life with Susan. Every morning he would make tea for Susan and sit with her in their garden. They laughed, talked, and remembered the old days. Michael often said, "After retirement we will travel, Susan. Just you and me." Susan smiled and nodded, feeling lucky to have such a loving husband. Michael worked as an accountant. He was honest, hardworking, and dedicated to his family. Susan had retired 5 years ago and spent her time painting and reading novels. Their life was quiet and simple. Michael often told his friends, "I want my retirement to be in comfort, surrounded by love and peace." However, not everything was as perfect as it seemed. Susan noticed that Michael had started spending more time on his phone. He would smile at messages and sometimes leave the room quickly. Susan thought he was just checking news or chatting with old colleagues. She tried not to worry. One evening, Michael came home from work early. Susan was preparing dinner. He hugged her and said, "I want us to celebrate tonight. My last day of office stress." They went out for dinner at a quiet restaurant. Michael was cheerful but seemed distracted. Susan asked, "Everything okay at work?" He said, "Yes, just tired, that's all." Back home, Susan noticed a small perfume bottle on the living room table. "It was not hers," Michael said. "Oh, I bought it for the office party." Susan smiled but felt a little strange. She did not say anything. That night, she went to bed thinking everything was fine, but a small worry started growing in her heart. A few weeks passed. Michael's behavior began to change. He came home late, always had excuses, and spent more time on his phone. Susan's painting sessions became lonely because Michael was often absent from their shared evenings. One afternoon, Susan found an email on Michael's laptop. It was from a woman named Clara, and it was friendly, too friendly. Clara wrote about missing Michael and hoping they could meet soon. Susan's heart sank. She felt her world shake. She could not believe it. Michael, the man who promised her comfort and love in retirement, was hiding something. Susan decided to quietly watch Michael's behavior. She noticed small things: extra care with his appearance, secretive calls, and a smile she had never seen before. Susan felt a mix of anger, sadness, and confusion. Why now? After all these years, she whispered to herself. One evening, Susan confronted Michael gently. "Michael, is there someone else?" she asked, her voice trembling. Michael was silent. He looked away, and Susan felt the answer before he spoke. Her heart ached, but she stayed calm. I don't know what to say," Michael murmured. Susan decided to observe more before reacting. She wanted to understand why Michael was seeking comfort elsewhere while promising her a peaceful retirement. She thought about their life together, the laughter, the shared dreams, and the love. It felt like a betrayal she could never forget, but she needed clarity. The next days were the hardest. Susan tried to focus on her painting, but her mind was restless. She started writing in her diary, noting Michael's actions, her feelings, and her fears. Every word was heavy with sorrow. She realized that love sometimes could hide pain and secrets. Susan knew she had to make a decision: confront, forgive, or let go. One rainy evening, Susan decided to confront Michael fully. She prepared tea, placed it on the table, and sat facing him. "Michael, I know about Clara," she said calmly. Michael froze. He did not deny it. Susan continued, "I need to understand why. Why would you betray me after everything?" Michael sighed, eyes full of regret. "Susan, I never wanted to hurt you. I felt lonely sometimes. I know it was wrong, but I didn't know how to tell you." His voice was quiet, almost apologetic. Susan felt the pain of betrayal, but she also felt the love they once shared. Susan asked, "Did our life together mean nothing?" Michael shook his head. "It meant everything. That's why I am so confused. I never wanted to lose you." Susan listened quietly. She realized that Michael was not leaving her, but he had allowed temptation to enter his heart. They talked for hours. Michael admitted his mistakes, his fears, and his loneliness. Susan shared her sorrow, her feelings of betrayal, and her doubts. It was an emotional night, full of tears and silent moments. Susan thought about their life, the children, the memories, and the promises. Could she forgive him? By the end of the night, they reached a fragile understanding. Michael promised complete honesty and asked Susan for a chance to rebuild trust. Susan agreed, but cautiously. She said, "Trust is not easy to repair, Michael. You must prove your love with actions, not words." Michael nodded, tears in his eyes. The following months were difficult but necessary. Michael cut off all contact with Clara. He focused on Susan, their shared hobbies, and planning the retirement they once dreamed of. Slowly, Susan felt the warmth return. She started painting again, this time with more joy. Michael joined her, and they laughed at old memories, shared new dreams, and worked on their connection. They decided to take a small trip to the countryside. The fresh air, peaceful scenery, and quiet moments helped them reconnect. Susan realized that love was about forgiveness, patience, and understanding. Michael realized that retirement in comfort was not about money or free time. It was about emotional closeness and trust. One evening, sitting in their garden, Michael held Susan's hand. "Thank you for giving me another chance," he said softly. Susan smiled. "I want us to enjoy our retirement truly. Together." They watched the sunset, feeling a sense of peace. Susan knew the scars of betrayal would remain, but healing was possible. Their journey was a reminder that love requires effort, honesty, and courage. Even after mistakes, a heart willing to mend and a partner willing to forgive could find happiness again. Michael and Susan's retirement was not just comfortable because of a quiet home. It was comfortable because they rebuilt trust, embraced honesty, and chose each other day by day. Their love, tested by betrayal, became stronger, and their hearts found peace.